Zimmer frame, that's not sexual, a Zimmer frame, right, fuck bastard. Government just fucking hammering fucking black sexual, black sex, grey, white. A dusty sheet ringed out with the wind direction in my direction, trying to cause me to cough. Cell calls up, he sneezed at, choked by catalyst. Coughed at, sneezed at, Zimmer frame. Flask of washing machine already there, so. Packing the fucking town with spastics has just caused spit talking to go all over into my hair by a tough face, dirty acting, fucking unhygienic spit talking all over her fucking over a Vodafone to spit talk all over my hair to talk about crap on the fucking phone. And then obviously I can't get through, there's people coughing at me, sneezing in my face, aimlessly, fucking no manners, all dirty, and I'm fucking forced into it without any fucking escape. Over 300 times that lady's been timed since I moved to Yeovil. Willie I up bike, cell call at me, 4 cell calls at me, 6 sneezes in my face, cough in my face, and 3 more cell calls just before that. Stepping sick, 6 cell calls at me, 3 lots of rough people, and turn my Willie out. Where 10 Downing Street is satanically possessed and stopping me to do anything. That means I've had to divert farm foods instead of Aldi's to get what I want. Ooh, sexual motorbike in my direction for one day before my birthday. Choked by catalyst, car with one light out, colliding to smash me into the side. But catalytic converter, you see, it means like an old granny, the choking catalytic converter. You're dribbling out, okay? The creator's fucking screwed up, fucking twisted. Sexual slaughter cunt, yes. Jesus Christ, a rapist. A fucking sick, cruelty cunt. That's right, can't do nothing about it. The bastard's possessed with this fucking curse. Again. Right, the next part, I'll just quickly mention this actually. The sun. Every time I do a recording on here, even though I'm doing loads, the time in the sun to go in to lie about the evidence of the sun coming out. Anyway, full of catalytic converter stench. There's a couple of animal voice sounds, crow saying ha ha, loud bike time to an erection occurs, itchy bumhole loud bike. Someone takes a picture of me in a HJ69 XJO van, might mean nothing, it wasn't the most suspicious photograph, but worth mentioning. Just thought I'd mention I've been walking around town with this, which is weed killer, with a syringe filled with weed killer. Because I'm getting many threats to inject me with HIV and snake venom, I'm getting a bit fucking fed up with it. And because it's sexuality, it's always sexuality. Sexuality is the reason for every threat. But, yeah. I walked around with this. Still didn't stop people giving me HIV injection threats and nailing me as a rapist and paedophile and child molester and woman molester. Absolutely fucking belting that road of traffic. Black and blue sick, black, white sick. Knife shape, gun shape, sexual. I mean, just fucking digging on sexuality. It's possible the setups walking back are going to be pretty nasty because they've just timed a load of cars, but the order of the cars is sort of black and blue sick. Knife shaped, a very long knife shaped, and a 1940s gun looking car. Police siren has to say it's obviously it's not being done like this unless they have technology where they can do it, but it sounded like Justin molested Stephanie Hill, and then it's going to jail, and then it's turned into a normal siren like that. Maybe it's going through the houses, I don't know if I think it's just one type of noise, but the way it occurred came out like that. Just to remind you that tomorrow I'm 43 years of age, 1 year older, and I've been sexually crucified, I've been staked, and being a year older is going to fuck it up even more for me getting sex. The only sex I've ever had in my life, it's the only sex I'm going to get, it's basically we're living in Wayne's World. Basically, the only sex I'm going to get is people that raped me as a child. It's too late, wrists and throat cut. So I'm going to have Jesus, I'm going to have him at war, I'm going to have him in sacrifice. I'm going to make sure that I land him in jeopardy with the creator God. I am, seriously. Because Jesus raped the guts in and out of me as a child, making me feel like water jelly on the floor, suffering, enjoying the sex while being raped as a child, being forced to enjoy it. and Jesus making his presence known, his holy presence, pouring his spirit out all over me while fucking about with me as a child. Well, he stopped me getting anyone, and basically the maximum age I can fancy before it goes into negative attraction is basically 36. When we pass that specific age, everyone seems to be negative attraction, seem to have that dry, rough skin, that dry stone sort of appearance. I don't know how to word it, but it's like a stone, sort of, where someone looks like a stone. I mean, not stoned or anything, but the dryness you get of a smooth stone carving or whatever, or stonework. That sort of appearance, or wrinkly skin. Everyone's a single mother, everyone's completely stale, everyone's... you're looking at about 1 in 1 million people at the age of 40 with grey hair that are still sexy enough to have sex with. That's what's happened. Jesus Christ has fucked my life up. He's raped me as a child. He's hit it with a roll. He's made the biggest mistake in living history. He only needs to turn against one person to fall, and he's done that on sexuality with me. And like I said, it's too late to do anything. I'm too old. Nobody likes me. Nobody will accept me having sex with him at a younger age. Christ has completely cut his fucking throat. All his people have turned against me, and they're all his fucking people. So I'm not going to be fucking happy when I go to war with Jesus, because I'm not going to forgive. I will never forgive, not for this, because this is 2 lives in a row, and then when I'm born again, I'm going to have to be raped as a child again, you know. So, you know, it's too late. Jesus and the clairvoyant said, of a past life reading just under 20 years ago, that basically I'd never had anything in my last life apart from being raped as a child, and I was working in a laboratory, and I was a female, and died at a very, very young age. And all I had is being raped and hanged and whatever. So Jesus really has fucking fallen. The road is busy enough to put down as busy, I think. I've just been moaned up. Well, first of all, Crow's going sad. Sick cunt, sad. Sad, sick cunt, sad. Something like that. Well, I'm being choked by a catalyst and someone's moaning because I spat. Well, yeah. When you're having your fucking throat cut in and being fucking choked to fuck with a catalyst, then yeah, what are you supposed to do? Sit there and just put up with it when it's every fucking car. I've just had to have a face wash basically and a hair wash because in a kind of puddle, a clean puddle. Because basically this tough looking face, this old granny, well not granny but roughly about my age or 10 years older, that looks really like a gritty, sick off the floor type face. I'm getting pissed off at it, to be honest. Those types of faces and these nasty type people in my direction seem to be the 2 main lots of people they're putting in my direction. And for the last 20 years they've been never timing any sexual ladies that are single in my direction. And they've also caused my enemies to go with people that I've very nearly got to know. They've been fucking up every possibility, including the mentally disabled. But now it's too late, obviously. I said earlier, I've been fucking sexually staked. Jesus put a fucking stake in me right through the fucking heart, through the other side, into the ground. There's nothing. Battery went flat. It's too late. I'm 43. They're not going to allow this at 43. There we are, up to our allow bikes to erection timing. I just want to clarify that on dating sites I have been looking at them again. I have been making payments again because I'm getting fucked off now, and obviously pet prostitutes or anything like that is not possible. They moan about the age and they don't give sex, they only give blowjobs. But anyway, let's cut that short because it's the same with transgender as well, by the way. Alright, let's get back to what I was going to say though. There's nobody 43 years of age on a dating site that I fancy. As I mentioned before, 36, 37 is the maximum. I'm struggling to fancy people after that age, but you've got to take into account, right, that I've not had anyone in my whole life. And to be told to go with someone twice the age of someone that raped me as a child, twice as ugly as people that raped me as a child, rougher skin, or dry stone face appearance, or whatever, I'm being forced to go a lot older. You've got to take into account, when you've not had anyone before, that's not a fucking nice way to fucking go about it. And I'm not going to fucking accept it, especially when Jesus has raped the guts in and out of me as a child, which I mentioned earlier on. So, like I said, my life's fucked up. There's nothing I can do about it. They don't allow age gaps. 2 years is the limit that most people will allow age gaps today, because we're in a different time. It's not like it was when Sid James went with Barbara Windsor in Carry On Camping. That was actually true in real life as well. He was in his, 50s or 60s, and she was only a teenager, 16, something like that, 18, I don't know what the age is, but it wasn't like that in the 1960s. My throat wouldn't have been cut if it was the 1960s. And obviously the smartphone network, everyone that's got a smartphone is in a sexual relationship. There's nothing I can do about it. I've had my wrist cut, okay? And I'm not going to fucking forgive God or Christ. And I'm going to stop going to any religious organisation that worship a Christ or have Christ as part of the prophet, because I'm not fucking having it. Here we are, the start of the catalytic converter setup. When I walk back, it's going to be very heavy. I forgot to mention on one of my documentaries that there was a list of about 120 old school jungle tracks from 1993 and 1994 mostly. But when I showed DJ the track listing, this is on the one of my private channels where I don't have my face showing on the internet, and he basically said he said you're very unlucky because basically each and every single track that was listed in my favourites, he said every one of those are bad tracks. Now he didn't mean to say that they're bad, that he doesn't like them, because he means bad in a different term. I'm not quite sure what he means by that, but he said quite literally every one of those tracks is a bad track, every one of them. And he says, however, he has to admit, he says there's some really good damn tunes that you've chosen there, you know. So he said that at the same time. But the thing was, I was asking, would it ever be reissued, or will I be able to get this sort of music again? And he basically said, because they're bad tunes, he said no. He said the whole lot of it. He said, keep what you got, make sure you don't lose it. You won't get that sort of music again. He says, if you want to try and get it second hand, you're not going to find it cheap either. So he said, just keep what you got, make a backup copies of it, and just basically left it at that. So just thought I'd mention it. I forgot to mention that this chap also said that if you did get it second hand, you'd be very, very lucky, even at the high price that they're charging, because he said most of it you're probably not going to find ever again, or hear of ever again. I will mention something myself when it comes to this music, something that I'm already aware of. A lot of the original DATs, or the original recordings, or the source of where the original recording was recorded, none of the DJs, artists or record companies have them anymore, because when companies go bust, or over time DJs have sold their music, they made their money, they're not really that careful about looking after their old tracks that they made or whatever. So most of this is gone. So if they did have to reissue any of this music, what they'd have to do is they'd have to scrape up, pay a lot of money to find a nice clean copy of a record that it was released on back in the day it came out, and then take it from that record to repress it like they done with Nut E1, Underwater Fireworks and Liquid Affray from Off the Nut EP, which was initially pressed on Just Another label in 1993, which had a series called the Bare Necessities series. Night Force Records has reissued that, but they've had to take it from the record. And it would be like that with most of my music. So if they had to rescue any of my music, they'd have to look and pay high prices to try and find the original record that they originally released it on to the public, to get those tracks ripped off and saved, basically. Take that away. If they couldn't do that, and they don't find any of those records, or, you know, you wouldn't get that music again. And obviously you would have to put up with scratches as well, and some pops and crackles here and there, which wouldn't be too great either, but that's how rare my music is. If I lose my music, you won't get it again. It's as simple as that. I will give you a list of tracks that are actually lost. There's a Rev P 1994 on Impact Records, Pesce World of Music on Infrared Records, DJ Lee and Gwange Too Deep on Legend Records, Gwange and Spin Back The Execution, the original version, even though that's quite a popular track, even that's been lost. And believe it or not, Jim Polo, The Night Rider, Part 1, that's been lost for over 15 years. Right, next track, the Anthill Mob 123 Adrian Blunt remix is lost. One of Photex Records is lost, which is Making Ground, Take Me Higher, the Ragga mix. Subsequence, You're the One is lost. Intense did the track Paradox and recently reissued some records with that. I can't remember what year it was, up to about 2015. Well, believe it or not, the original recordings of Intense are lost as well, even though he pressed it back at that time. So what he must have done is he must have known what the future holds, wasn't willing to repress it again, and did away with the original tape. Because some DJs can get quite funny, you know, when it comes to music or having to repress music. They don't want their, you know, if they don't want it repressed or anything like that. Intense, a Genesis project. Every track on that EP, Rugged 8 record, is gone, and Rugged 7, as I mentioned, which includes Intense to Quickening and Journey to the Unknown as well. Also, Good Looking Records, Dope Travelling Part 2, the original issue's gone. I'm not sure about the repress. Parallel World, Contagious, Good Looking Records is gone. Some of Basement Records have gone, like Rough with the Smooth Twisted Girl, that's gone. Unit 1 on Creative Wax recordings, both Arden and Love Me are gone. Ascend and Ultra Vibe, What Kind of World on Moving Shadow Records, I think that's gone, I'm not sure. Noise Factory, Dreams on, I think it's Strictly Hardcore Records, I'm not sure. Or Kemet Records. Either way, that the original recording to that is gone. The Alliance First Impressions on Reinforced Records is gone, but it was originally pressed on Legend Records in 1993 as an acetate 10-inch test press. They managed to rescue Green Buddha, The Chamber, on 7th Story Projects, but the original recording to that's gone now since they had it. I don't know what's happened, but I have heard that recording's gone. Then we have the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, Drowning in Her, which is a Moving Shadow track on Tone Deaf Recordings. They've lost that tune, that's gone. Coda, Space Tech, DJ Recordings, Code Blue, Angels in Rhythm, DJ Recordings. DJ Crystal Warp Drive, I'm not sure about, but it's definitely one that, you know, is one that they're likely to lose the recording to. Same for Your Destiny. Another one that was definitely lost is Orca Intellect, which is basically the same producer as Coda, and on DJ Recordings. Definition of Living, DJ Trace, I'm not sure about that one, but there is a bit of good news because there are some tracks that have been rescued. Hyperon Experience Disturbance Tango Remix was rescued, and in actual fact they managed to keep that off the original DAT. The original DAT was still usable and playable to save that track. Lifting Spirits, Will I Dream on Lifting Spirits Recordings, they managed to rescue that track as well, shockingly, and that's quite an underground track. Andy C Roll On, because that's quite a commercial track, there's no issues on that one. What other ones is there? Dillinger, Chapter 19. It was released on a record called Trinity, Chapter 20, because they pressed it on the wrong side of the record back in the day, and people were getting muddled up between Chapter 19 and Chapter 20. Well, they managed to rescue the DAT from that as well, believe it or not. And what else have they managed to rescue? Actually, I don't know. I think that's it. I think that's all they've managed to rescue. So there's not exactly very many tracks. Obviously, there's been a few, takeoffs from record, from on Night Force recordings. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Right, going to my dark ambient music I like as an alternative. A lot of it's on cryo chamber recordings, so you've got artists like Atrium Carceri, or Carceri, however it's pronounced, Proto U, Hilliard, Mount Shrine, Agasonus, who else do we have? All my other types of music have gone as well. Shall I tell you why? When it comes to New Age meditation, that's always been a specialist type of music that's never been released commercially. You might get the occasional rarity that hits the mainstream, but most of it's not commercial and doesn't get commercially released. So there's all sort of self-pressed music or sub companies that press it. So not big music that you get in HMV or anything like that. And a lot of that's going as well because not many people are into it. So as artists producing that sort of music are losing a lot of money because people are not buying that sort of music because people's taste buds are changing today. They don't like the soul in the music anymore. Anyway, dark ambient is my other alternative, but first I want to go into classical. Classical is dying out big time. So you've got tracks like Prokofiev, Dance of the Nights, Tchaikovsky, Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, Aphex Twin, Ictodhedral, Philip Glass Orchestration, Pachelbel, Canon. There's many different classical tracks. When it comes to those sorts of classical tracks or whatever, you're not going to find any of them anymore. And they're doing different variations of them to throw people off of classical music. And when you go into certain record shops, you'll find that the classical area, there's no more than a few CDs in the classical section. How they're working it now with all the classical music is they're putting all the children's Disney soundtracks in there instead, and moving all the classical stuff into the sale. And there's basically no proper classical music. It's basically going into soundtracks and into the children's category of music, like all the kids' themes or kids' tracks or whatever. So it looks like it could be an end to classical music in the way that we see classical music, the way classical music used to be back in those days. Right, dark ambient. Now, before I go into dark ambient, I like the dark classical, which is the droney sounds that you get like on a creepy old black and white movie. That sounds really eerie, but very low down and it's relaxing low down. It's not happy, but it's like a relaxing type of low down music, where it's sort of very singled out sounding, or very lonely sort of sounding, that really moody sound that you get in that sort of music. Well, that's known as dark classical, and obviously it's not very often that you can buy it, and then you won't get it in the mainstream. You'd only get it on these dark classical CDs that are specialised. Anyway, now to dark ambient. Dark ambient is another category I like, and when it does come to classical, by the way, I do only like the dark classical, or the or the stuff that's strong in sound, very deep, not the commercial sounding stuff, which is when you go into HMV you can only get the commercial sounding stuff. But you do have Mahler's Symphony 1, Symphony 3 in there, which is quite a good tune in HMV, but that's the best you'll get. Right, back to dark ambient. Dark ambient is basically electronic dark classical, basically. So basically like these eerie, creepy sounds that you get in movies. Sometimes you get a futuristic dark ambient because they're changing it a little bit, making it a bit more exciting. So it's a bit like the underground sounds that you get in those futuristic old school jungle tracks of the early 90s. And the breakdown parts that you get in those jungle tracks at that time, in some of them anyway. So dark ambient's actually progressing into sort of quite good stuff, but the problem is none of that dark ambient is available. None of it's commercial. It's only sold underground, and that's it. But at least you can get it for the time being. It will die off, and there will be a time where you won't be able to get it at all. 10 years from now, the people that are producing the dark ambient recordings or CDs or whatever, they're going to be had, and they're going to be stopped from doing it. They've already targeted a lot of the new age producers, and they only let you release a certain amount when you self-press it, so people won't be able to make money unless it's actually commercial. And they're only just starting to enforce these laws in current times, so it's not going to be much longer, and then you won't be able to get your music at all, and then you're going to be restricted to downloads and all the rest of it. Though I prefer to get stuff on a CD and take it off rather than from a download, for several different reasons and quality reasons. But yeah, so unfortunately my music covers all those sorts of categories where you ain't gonna get it. So it's a bit like that, because when it comes to commercial music, it sounds a lot different, you see. It's more jolly, it's more happy, there's a lot of sexuality mentioned, or they make tracks with mentioning sexuality heavily. There's a lot of guitar sounds in, happy, good life, sexual music or whatever. And the best-selling music on the planet, by the way, or at least in the rich countries, or the countries that are industrial, like the UK and the USA, is basically hip-hop, chart, pop, new school drum and bass, which is definitely... Jungle is different to drum and bass, by the way. So they're both separate categories. People say they're the same, but they are actually different. hip hop, as I just said, modern trap. What else do we have? Reggae, country and western, heavy metal, rock. They're the sort of music that they're trying to force people into. When it comes to my music, it's quite literally off the map. They're doing away with it all. So I just mention it. I will mention something else. They are starting to target the some of the older commercial tracks as well. Ultravox Vienna is on the borderline of being taken away. Seal, Kiss from a Rose is another one. Portishead, Sour Times. So, you know, and they even taken off Bob Marley, One Love, from Now That's What I Call Music 3, the UK original series, repress, which was released about, I don't know, about 10 years ago, when they started the Now series again. So they are actually taking away the tracks, and give you a few other tracks that they're not keen on. Ghost Town by the Specials, that's another track that's on the border of being lost. The Stranglers, Golden Brown, again. Tainted Love, Soft Cell. Jean-Michel Jarre, Oxygen Part 4. In fact, they don't like these tracks, I can tell you that. But they're struggling to do away with them, you see, because they're commercial tracks. But they are going to try. Baccarat, is it Yes Sir I Can Boogie? And there's another one, Blondie, is it Heart of Glass? Then you have Peaches and Herb that they're not happy about, which is a track called Reunited. Judy Boucher, Can't Be With You Tonight. Heatwave, Always and Forever. Barry Biggs, Sideshow. What else do we have? Godley and Cream, Under Your Thumb. Boomtown Rats. What's it called? Banana Republic. What else? Thompson Twins, Love on Your Side. I mean, there's loads. I could go through a whole list of just tracks and tracks upon tracks. They're definitely trying to do with all of them, including Diana Ross. I'm still waiting, you know. Many different tracks. They will do away with them in time. There are certain tracks they don't want people to have, and I don't know what it is. But those ones I just mentioned are on sort of... they've been discussed, or they've been on some form of, disagreement, when record companies are arguing to put the tracks in. The problem is these are big tunes. I mean, Temperance 7, Pasadena, the original version that came out in 1962, I believe. Even that one. And then obviously you've got other tracks. Even there's loads. Bobby Goldsboro, Honey, Erasure, The Circus, The House Martins, Build. There's many different tracks that they're trying to do away with, even the commercial tracks. So, but anyway, just thought I'd, inform you and make a story about it. Other tracks that I've thought of are the Hollies, The Air That I Breathe, the Moody Blues, Nights in White Satin, and the Beach Boys, God Only Knows, Otis Redding, Dock of the Bay, Kate Bush, Wuthering Heights. Even those 4 tracks are at risk. And believe it or not, the Beach Boys, God Only Knows, has actually been on a TV commercial in recent-ish times. So it does make you wonder what's going on with the music industry. In 20 years from now, I probably won't be alive, but when you're all alive, I can guarantee those commercial tracks that I just mentioned, those big tunes, they'll be taken off. You won't see them again. Around about 1996, you had a group called the Out Here Brothers. They did a track called Boom Boom Boom. Well, the Venga Boys did a track called Boom 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 later on. I've not heard of the Out Here Brothers Boom 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 on the radio or played anywhere since 1996, in the time period it came out. It might have been 95, but I think it was 96. It's not that long ago. Well, not in my time. Not to me anyway. It might be a long time ago for other people, but I'm getting on a bit. I'm 43, so. But yeah, I thought I'd mention that. Mars, Pump Up the Volume, and The Cure, The Love Cats, were 2 other tracks that I believe I recall hearing of something negative towards the tracks being banned or stuff like that. And going back to the 70s, Donna Summer, I Feel Love, got banned, and that's another track that they've been targeting. But I just thought I'd mention it. Right, I'm going to give you some of my worstest tracks because I want to, basically. You'll have to give me time to think, but I don't like the Tokens, The Lion Sleeps Tonight. I don't like Lewis Huey, The Power of Love, which is the Back to the Future theme, you know, the film Back to the Future. I don't like that. The music to that. The Shaman, Ebenezer Good, I think it is. I don't like Smarties, Sesame Street. I don't like Alex Reese, I Feel the Sunshine. However, I do like his Unit 1 Love Me, and his Arden, which is Alex Reese and Wax Doctor. So they have done really good tracks, but obviously they've done commercial tracks that I don't like. Goldie's Inner City Life I don't like. Everything But the Girl, Walking Wounded, I don't like that track. I'm not keen on The Devil Came to Georgia. I've forgotten who, I think it's the Dennis band, or I can't remember. The Sank band, I can't remember what it is. I wouldn't rate it as my worst track, but it's listenable, but it's certainly at the lower end of tracks that I don't like. So it's just in, or just above my worstest tracks area. So I mean, it's listenable. If someone plays it in the car or I play it out, I can listen to it, but it's only just out of the worstest track area. Manfred Mann, 54321, I don't like that one. Ronnie McDowell, Older Women, I wouldn't classify, I'd say that's in the same place or same area as The Devil Came to Georgia. The Scaffold, Lily the Pink, I'd probably put that just above, in the same area as The Devil Came to Georgia and Older Women. So just edging the top part of my worst tracks, but they're listenable. So something like a 3 out of 10, where all the others are like 1 out of 10 in my worstest area. So it'd be a bit like that. So they're listenable. Once you get to 3 is the listenable stage, but it's not a track that I go much on. 2 is like the stuff that I can't stand, you know, you hear it played. 1 is the stuff I really hate. 4, you're starting to get into areas where it's listenable, and possibly a filler track if you were to make a compilation and you wanted to make a sound compilation that had a similar sound to it. Though under normal circumstances, a 4 out of 10 I wouldn't like. A 5 out of 10 is the starting stages of a track that I like, but not very much, but where I like it. Now I'm going to come to mainstream old school jungle tracks, because a lot of DJs won't give the names or the titles of the tracks that they like in the mainstream. They seem to just choose a selection of a mixture of tracks, just playing along with the system basically. Well, I'm just going to give you, obviously these are the same, you know, they're commercial tracks, so but I'm just choosing the commercial favourites that I like out of the commercial jungle tracks. Omni Trio Renegade Snares, Foul Play Remix. Renegade featuring Ray Keith, Terrorist. What else do we have? Dead Dread, Dread Bass. Marvellous Kane, dubplate style. And Pesce, the piano tune. LTJ Bookham, Atlantis, I Need You. PFM, The Western Tune. Nasty Habits, Here Comes the Drums, which is a Doc Scott tune. How many is that? 8, something like that? I can't remember. We'll just say there's another 2. Ronnie Size, It's a Jazz Thing. Dillinger, Chapter 19. And One for Luck, Deep Blue, the Helicopter tune. Obviously, when it comes to the more specialised stuff, the tracks change differently. So it'd be stuff like Pesce, World of Music, The Alliance, First Impressions, Lee and Guan's Too Deep. Basically the tracks I mentioned earlier on when I was doing the video earlier on. Obviously this video was not intended to do music, but I've added music to it, quite a lot of information. Now we're back to the more sinister stuff, I'm afraid. There's been 2 loud bikes tied to an erection, and someone's walked past saying if you go anywhere near Grace, or speak to Grace, the neighbour at my place, they're going to get aggressive and nasty about it, and saying, and he's already told me, these two people that walk past in their 20s, they've already told me it's going to be kicking off this Christmas, so I don't know what to expect, but they're not in a very bloody happy mood, and they were just at the top of this path as I was reaching the road area, while basically finishing the content I was doing on this video. Right, just outside my place, it's the 7th of the 12th 2023, just giving you a weather update. It's been mostly torrential rain, but we had this bit here. There's a few things I want to mention, and it's regarding some of these child junglists that were on YouTube between 10 and 15 years ago. Well, actually, most of those junglists, believe it or not, were actually married women with children. So, just shows how fast the time's gone. And it also makes you look like, it also suppresses you as well, because you've got to think to yourself that they're only a baby and they're married women that have a lot of sex. And it makes you sort of, there's one purple, the one that's nicknamed Purple Poo Poo. She's dancing to a modernist drum and bass video. The original video, I think, was put on there in 2007, 2009, somewhere in that area, maybe 2008, is on YouTube. Well, she's about 8 years old in the time on that video. And over a decade's passed since that time, if not longer. So obviously you've got to think that that woman's she's actually going to be in a relationship with children at this time today. The 3-year-old junglist, which is one Kenny Ken posted on his Facebook, which is a jungle DJ, and that's where I first saw it. And from that time, I can't remember what her name was, but I do actually know what that 3-year-old junglist's name is. She lives in London, and believe it or not, thinking that she's only 3 when I saw the video, and it's been on YouTube, but believe it or not, in current times, this was stated 2 years ago on the internet, she is actually in a sexual relationship, and she is actually, believe it or not, a single mother. So it just shows how fast the time goes, and it just makes you think to yourself, you're in your 40s, you've had nothing at all in your whole life, and these people that are only babies are single mothers today. Let's move on to Britain's Got Talent, shall we? Olivia Binfield, who is a millionaire that lives in Kent, Ramsgate, believe it or not, she's a married woman with high-level degrees and, very rich, and even she is married with children. Holly Still, she's got a boyfriend. That's another person on the celebrity on Britain's Got Talent, and again, she's married and she's had a baby. And look up the age they were. Right, the next person we'll move on to is Izzy Simpson. Izzy Simpson is actually still quite young, so she's not actually a single parent, but she does have a boyfriend, and her accent is a lot different to what it used to be on Britain's Got Talent, to the information that's been posted on people's pages across the internet, where I've viewed this information that's been put up there. So, taking all that into account, and then we've got people like me that are 43 that have never had anyone in their whole lives, and as I was saying earlier, it's too late to do anything, because even babies are in relationships and single mothers now, or people that were babies just 20 years ago. So I want to move on to compact discs. Discs like CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, M-discs, any type of disc that can hold data. All these discs have actually been stopped being made. They stopped making discs, stopped making disc players. But the problem is, I've mentioned this, and I've even phoned up 10 Downing Street to leave a message about this going back about 2 to 3 years ago. And I was saying that after 5 years, if you leave anything on a USB stick, the quality deteriorates. But the problem with a USB stick or an SD card or micro SD card is straight away when you save audio content onto one of those, the bass will drop suddenly. You'll notice the quality straight away from the first transfer. And that's why I don't like saving stuff onto USB stick unless it's loud, clear commercial tracks. But when it comes to my sort of music, because my music is recorded in low quality or low sound, you always need to keep it the best you can possibly keep it. And there's no way you can keep anything on a USB stick without any loss straight away. With a hard drive, that quality will hold out, but you can only keep it on a hard drive for a short period of time. So audio files or anything like that will remain in a stable condition for about 6 months. It's very unlikely, but you might fetch 5 years if it's a very good make hard drive before the quality starts to lose or start to go muffled. The base range will probably hold out pretty well, but hard drives do pack up pretty easy. I've only ever had 2 pack up in 20 years. Most of the things that I've had break are mostly USB sticks and SD cards or chips in that sort of way. CDs, I rarely get a CD mess up. DVDs, however, I have had mess up. When it comes to the M discs, when I was using the M discs before they were discontinued and impossible to get hold of, I've never had a single problem with them. So it says it all, doesn't it? But anyway, discs is my preference of format of keeping stuff safe. However, if you're going to be in climates that are not very good, then obviously hard drive and USB sticks would be the only alternative, especially if temperatures go below 2 degrees Celsius, because obviously discs mess up when they're at that temperature. I'm not sure about the M disc, because the M disc is a specialised disc which they claim can last for a long time, but being in that sort of environment, I can't see it lasting as long as what they say it lasts, because when they say it lasts a long time, they're referring to if it's kept indoors in a dry cold place basically, or you know, not outside or whatever, where temperatures can eventually rot. And it's a possibility, being in that sort of environment, you know, being made of a rock layer, melted rock or whatever it is that they use inside the M disc, the likelihood is when you get a lot of water condensation build up and all the rest of it, eventually it's just going to, you know, it's just going to crumble the layer inside the disc. You know, it's just going to get wet, crumble up inside, you know. So you'd be relying on the adhesive layer to hold the disc data in place, not the actual material inside the disc. So I'm not exactly sure 100% how they're made, but that's a possibility. I might be wrong. But anyway, I wouldn't risk it. And obviously they haven't been out long enough to test their proven time. However, they're definitely a disc I wouldn't discard for saving data on, I'll tell you that. And the same for a CD. I've always liked CDs. CDs have flexibility, mind, so if there is any temperature changes, assuming within sort of a reasonable temperature, not outside temperatures in the winter, but that stretch, or, you know, it allows for that. Where with rock, there's no stretch ability. So if it did, it could crack, if you get what I'm saying. That's just a possible theory. But anyway, online storage is a bit safer. You might lose a bit of quality, but they have bigger storage tanks than what everybody else uses, so it's okay for photos or anything else. But when it comes to audio content or film content with music in it, or there's a possibility it's not going to be so good. Although I wouldn't put film content down as audio content, as audio is much more important than film content. But anyway, you have your own theory on this, but I think it's downright stupid that they need to stop making compact discs and Blu-rays and M discs or whatever else, DVDs. I mean, what they could do is just keep it going for the small minority that need them, or keep it in like a place where they sell office supplies, you know, for workers that need to keep their data in a different, or would prefer to keep their data backed up in a different area than just a USB stick or a hard drive. What's caused all this is these fucking stupid teenagers that have sex with everybody and nail me as a sick bastard when I've had nothing in my whole life. Because they have a sex phone or smartphone, which they were going to call a sex phone, because obviously when they first initially made the phones, there was a lot of criticism about sex phone causing a lot of, you know, political row or whatever it is they said back at that time. So they decided to call it a smartphone and not a sex phone. And they think because everyone will have girlfriends and boyfriends, they wanted to call it a sex. That wasn't the case. But they're because these teenagers are small-minded and say, "Oh, I got a sex track that's just downloaded. Oh, it's a pop chart tune. Oh, it's a hip hop tune. Oh, it's sexy music. Oh, it's sex music. It makes me laugh. It makes me jump for joy. It makes me stupid." as long as teenagers get their music, the empire or the government, they just don't give a fuck about anybody else, and everybody else's music is just fucking thrown away. You know, we don't give a shit about your music. You only got 10 years to live, or you're going to die of old age, or we're going to get someone to hit you off. You know, you're fucking treated like a piece of shit, regardless if you've had anyone or not. You're being treated the same as everybody else, regardless of the situation or what life you've had. So yeah, because of this, they're doing away with, you know, storage capability of discs. I mean, people. There are actually old people that were discussing this last year. Old people saying that they're critical data and they've lost all their family documentation and nearly lost all their photos because they didn't have it backed up on the disc, and they're going to have to use discs in the future because their hard drive's buggered up. And then they said they had problems with their online storage as well. I mean, I've had problems with online storage. I've had my accounts closed, even ones I've been paying for. So that's not the safest places, and stuff removed, which I haven't removed. So, you know, discs are the safest way of keeping your stuff safe. I mean, a lot of people would prefer to use storage device, and with the stuff that they have, a lot of these people have good lives, you know, so they have a lot of data, especially if it's work data. So it does make sense why you can't all fit that all on the disc. But they should have discs for those that want to keep precious bits and pieces on there, or very critical information or work documentation, which is separate. I mean, there's never been any issues about people chucking. They're concerned that people are going to the waste paper bag or people getting discs out. All you need to do is get a pair of scissors and cut the disc, and then it won't be readable. That's all they need to do. So, you know, when they claim that people get discs from rubbish bags, all that, it's just an excuse to stop people from, you know, just an excuse to do away with discs, basically. I mean, someone could put a USB stick in the bag and find the information and data, so it makes no difference what it is, you know. So it's ridiculous, to be honest. So I don't know what your opinion is on discs, but I'm adding this to the video anyway. Well, I've just had a few people start on me. So I'm just going to do a documentary on what they started me on for. I'm going to turn it into some other names as well. So we'll start with Sadie Dando. Sadie Dando I've never had sex with. She's a relative. I knew her up to a certain time period before the family fell out with me, and they fell out with me around about the same time as Fathers for Justice event took place. And mostly because I'm moaning about presents or people buying cards or presents for the time of year at the time. I can't remember if it's Easter or winter or whatever, or Christmas. And they just fell out, and then they fell out with my other cousin as well, and started using sexuality as an excuse to fall out. With Ian, there's not really been much sexually mentioned when it comes to Ian, but again, I've never had sex with that person. Again, that's Ian Dando, which is the brother of Sadie. Stephanie Hill, actually, I didn't, until the early part of this year, I didn't know her name was actually Jill. I've always thought it was Hill, and most of the threats that I've had in the past, I'm pretty sure it's Hill that has been said, not Jill. But either way, according to Michael, an old school friend that's contacted me from Elmwood School, her surname's actually Jill. I knew her in 1994. I saw her once at Taunton Bowling when I was going for a day out with Snap Group, which is like a school group organised thing, or done through a college. I'm not sure how it was done. Back in the days, I saw her once, I think that was in 1996, because they were playing Canoe, slip into something more comfortable, music track, at the time that I saw her, and she was in a group with another group. So I went to say alright to her, but she didn't hear me, and I just left it at that because I was called to go in the aisle that I was supposed to go into, so I went into that aisle. I didn't see her for many years after that. The next time I saw her, I couldn't say anything to her because there were some rough people around me that were basically enemies or nasty people. Same for the next few times. I saw her again, they're in situations where rough people were around me and I couldn't say or speak to her. I saw her in the charity shop, I went to say alright, she didn't really say nothing, she just sort of smiled. And then from there on, I had to stop speaking to her because enemies were making up stuff about me raping her when I haven't. and taking the piss out of her, saying that she's stupid and all the rest of it. And because they were like roughneck people that were starting, it occurred in a mass, and it was on a scale where I had to sort of just avoid speaking to her, and I was mentioning the stuff that was being said at the time, you know, and the insults that was taking place to her. And when I got in the mood, I sort of was typing stuff down on WordPad, especially when I was drinking my special brew at night and when I was half pissed, because I used to get pissed on special brew most nights, until I got onto the weaker drink, which is the last 5 years or whatever, or I can't remember, just under 5 years, where I'm going bed tipsy rather than pissed, basically. Anyway, those sorts of threats sort of died down around 2012. I moved to Burnham-on-Sea area, and I saw her again in 2019, 20, I can't remember, 2020, no, 21, no, 21, sorry, 2020, 2021, sorry, and I saw her in the charity shop, so I decided to just say, alright, because she told me to put sanitizer on my hands, but she couldn't recognise me, and she doesn't remember me. But also, I will mention, if we go back to 2008 area, just as the threat, it's just after I saw her in the charity shop, I saw her at the bus station. At that time she was single, but she had the flu or a very nasty cold, but I didn't speak for several reasons, because of the threats I was getting from enemies, and it was actually a rough around the bus stop at the time I was there. She went on a different bus to me, I think, but I can't remember where I went. Take that away, I saw her a couple of times on the bus, 2019, coming from Taunton direction, and she looked like she was crying already, was been told that I'm trying to chase her or something like that, because it appeared she was running and crying. I thought that's very unusual. When I saw her in the charity shop, there was no problems in 2020, 2021. Saw her a couple of times. Obviously she's been with her boyfriend since around the time the very first threat occurred, after going into that charity shop. And when I went into other charity shops, I saw her there, and then obviously the build up of trouble just went into a mass masquerade, or whatever word we want to use, just off the scale. These threats with Stephanie is hardly mentioned today, however it's been brought back up since I moved here. When I moved to Burnham, it died out completely, and that's when I started sort of saying alright. So she speaks, she just nods her head, she doesn't, says yep, basically that's it really. And then sometimes she doesn't speak at all, she'll move away. So I don't want to sort of pester myself, so I just leave it at that. And obviously they shut that shop down and went back down there in 2023, is it? I can't remember. This year possibly, when I was doing the camping trip, and I had a quick look around while I was waiting for a bus, and I saw her in there, but I didn't say anything. But so yeah, she was with her boyfriend, and she's also going into negative attraction as well, so she started to get that sort of dry stone looking face appearance rather than smooth skin. So anyway, it's just a person that I'm mentioning from the past, just to clarify my story, not the sexual side where everybody are making things up about Sadie, Ian and Stephanie. Now we'll move on to Amy Weston, shall we? Amy Weston, I knew her when she was about 5 and I was only about 8 or 9, so she's only a few years younger than me. Don't know why she fell out with me actually. She got with a friend called Mike, who was just a couple of doors up from where she used to live, on the opposite side of where I used to live at Portman Crescent. Saw her once when she was about 11, when I went on a visit to past North Peverton with Uncle Rob. I can't remember what we were doing on that day, but I saw her then, and she just had a go at me at the age of 11, saying, I can't remember what she said, but it was nasty. She was like a sort of sexual type of, of a kid type of what the kids would have gone for, basically, at that time. So then I didn't really see her again until I moved there from 2001 onwards, and I tried to sort of make communication with her, but it was mostly speaking to her brother Callum Evans, who was later accused of trying to rape when I wasn't. So in the end they just sort of fell out. Things started to go around, they caused trouble, and when I would say they caused trouble, it's sort of the people on the estate were causing trouble, and whether it's coming directly from them I don't know. It just caused a whole load of problems. Everything calmed down in 2003 area. Some people were starting or whatever, And then after I moved to Bridgewater West Street in 2005, hell broke loose. Then you had Scooters Night Track, which was turning people against me as well. And people were calming down because they know that they were trying to hit me off with Scooters with that weekend track just before that, which was against me. Bringing out Sly music tracks. That's basically as far as it goes with Amy Weston. And then she did try and report me to the police for putting something on Facebook back in 2015-16 area. But what I was putting on Facebook in 2015-2016 area is basically nothing. It's not actually to do with me mentioning stuff about her. It is actually the setups I'm mentioning that are digging at me with claiming that I've been with her when I haven't, or claiming I'm a sick bastard because I rape girls when I haven't. So that covers those names. Obviously there are other names as well, but there's no such thing as like a story behind them as the names that I just mentioned. I'm trying to think what the names were now. It's difficult to say really. It's because all the others are sort of semi-friends or not kind of friends. I mean, the only sort of friend I've had as a friend, well, I had Tara Bauman as a friend, but she didn't really like me because she was friends with Vicky Fisher, and Vicky Fisher was my ex-mugger's girlfriend, Dan Morgan or Dan Wilson or whatever his name is. But I've always thought it was Dan Morgan when I first saw it on Facebook. But apparently, according to enemies, it's possible his surname's Wilson. So yeah, he had money off me in the past, and I kept walking into him on a nearly every single day basis in a cursed way, but there's nothing you can do about it. That's why I'm sort of thinking the setups go back to that time, you know, you sort of wonder when you're thinking of all these problems. And the amount of enemies I've had in my life's unbelievable. But anyway, I'll leave it there on that subject. Yeah, there's Alicia, Heather, or I can't remember, it's Heather or Helen, I can't remember now. I think it's Heather. But whatever names that I've known in the past, that's not at school, that's other names. Going back to school, it's just basically Tara, but we weren't really friends as such, just sort of in the same class. She wouldn't sit next to me. Emma Robson was sort of, she hit a saucepan over my head when I was 2 years old, believe it or not, at play school. Obviously, we've joked about that in the past when I made up on Facebook, but we don't actually really like that much, really. She's quite negative attraction, actually, the Emma Robson. Anyway, so it's basically when I was forced out of Elmwood School, that's why I first knew Lisa Pike. And I only knew Lisa Pike as a friend because obviously she's one of those types that's not very sexy at all. She's one that most people would, you know, turn away at a sexual relationship. Obviously, as friends, I'm okay with her. And she does have reverse interests to what I'm into as well. Her music's more celebrity, gossip, chart music and stuff like that, where my music is the complete opposite. She's into soaps for TV and stuff like that. She's into clubbing. She mostly likes guitar music and rock music and stuff like that. Again, like I was saying, is against my sort of music. So she is totally different to what I'm into, apart from when it comes to animals, because she does like animals. But I'm not an animal. I like animals, but I don't go to the extent of going to places to visit them or stuff like that. So, but you know, she's a nice person. She does a job. She cares for the elderly, so she likes doing that. And she lived in Somerton, moved to Taunton, and now she lives in Bridgewater. The best place ever where all my enemies are. From the people that have given me trouble back in the days of 2012 and before, that sort of time period. So, not good, is it? But anyway, that's the Lisa thing finished. Alicia was a little girl who lived next to Lee, who had an older brother that was into happy hardcore music, who was in his, I guess he was in his early 20s and played happy hardcore. Where Alicia fell out with me because I was kicking a football against a house ball many years ago when I was 12-ish, something like that. Because I didn't play in the park because there wasn't very friendly people in the park. However, it was not that bad. Because I've played football, I think it was only once or twice, but this is when back in the days when my uncle knew some of these people people, and you know, my cousins knew these people, sort of thing. So, which was good. No problems in the two, you know, one or two matches. But it didn't really take off as such. But so yeah, the Alicia has turned against me. I haven't seen her for many years. I don't actually know if she's actually alive or if I've actually ever seen her since I moved from Willavington. Then we have Wayne and Connie, Cassie and Lorraine Langford, who are family that fell out with my side of the family in 1995 for personal reasons. But the good news is the reasons are not because of me. So yeah, that's it was nice to have a few friends in my childhood back at that time, because they're sort of similar ages, just a bit younger, but not much younger. Not much really to mention there. So then we move on to this, what's it, that lady, I think it's Heather, the one, I can't actually remember her name, Heather, or it could have been someone else. She worked in Boots in Bridgewater, but she also worked in, Boots in Burnham-on-Sea, and W.H. Smith's in Bridgewater, because I remember her when I was ordering these old school jungle compilations, because back in the day, I was going through their ordering book and they had stuff like Jungle Techno 5, Jungle Techno 8 and the Jungle Techno series, or Jungle Massive, or Jungle Splash takes you into Jungleism, Jungle Business Volume 1. I remember all those being in there. Drum and bass selections, but most of them were deleted, so anything I was ordered is either out of stock at the supplier or discontinued. And then there's obviously another lady that worked in W.H. Smith who was connected to Sophie, who was who had an older sister called what's her name? Hannah, and she lived in Cossington and she went to Avalon School. Well, I didn't really know Hannah, but I knew a friend to Hannah, and I've spoken to the friend. Obviously she's not as pretty as Hannah, but obviously they don't remember me. In actual fact, that Hannah I've seen once, and she's told me I was a sicko. She doesn't remember me. She's a different person altogether today, and doesn't look sexual at all. She's gone into sort of Munter type, assuming that is the person that I saw. So this Heather or Helen, she doesn't like me because she thinks I'm Savan, because enemies have been walking past at the time, past her, which is not long after a clairvoyant actually predicted that name to be one of my partners, but she was wrong. I think that was Sue Hudd again, because the first one went through. The one she predicted, Laura or Lauren, just fell through, never existed. It could have been that woman at Tesco's, which I don't really know properly. The one I mentioned, the rain curse, yes. Not the rain curse, the sun curse, where it's been. Yeah. But obviously I've already put that on YouTube, I've already mentioned it many times, so I'm not going to go into a story about that one. So then we go into other names. I mean, there's many people that I can choose or whatever to mention these stories, but to get it through to people that I've never had sex with these people is very difficult, and you have to going through each and every person, remembering each and every person is very difficult. But you know, I'll leave it there anyway. There's Gemma Ferguson I forgot about, one of the major ones. No, she hasn't really known me that well, but I've seen her many times. She remembers me when I was at West Street in Bridgewater, so she actually remembers or has some knowledge of me, of what I look like or who I am, before I actually moved to Burnham-on-Sea, where I really picked up on who it was. Firstly, she cried when I went in the shop, and obviously she has connections with my ex-mugger Dan Morgan, or Dan Wilson, or whatever his name is, who went with Vicky Fisher, who was a lady that went to Elmwood School, basically. She did actually go to Monkton Priors School. She was actually my friend at Monkton Priors School, the beginning part of Elmwood School, but she fell out literally within the first 2 weeks. So I don't know what happened there in the first 2 weeks of starting that school. Which is in the, I can't remember what time it was, about 1993-ish, I guess, I can't remember. Anyway, Gemma Ferguson, popped in the shop a few times. She's passed in straight, very serious, stern look, never really sort of speaking, but then saw her regular on the beach, and then there was another person that looked like her,
I'm not sure what her name is, but she was slightly older, not by much, and she had more of a negative appearance than Gemma, and they both sort of looked similar, but they both walked the beach. And Gemma and this other one, in fact, had said alright when they passed me in the lockdown quite a few times, and obviously she caught me digging something in the sand as I was hiding a bottle of water out for later on or something like that. I can't remember what I was doing, and she laughed and said, "Don't fall down there, will you?" And that was Gemma Ferguson. So she claims that she doesn't know me, but she has spoken. Sometimes there's been a few negative things said here and there, especially when we go into the second lockdown. She starts thinking that I'm Savannah or Liam, or mixed stories going around where she's confused, and she sort of fell out, liked me falling out, sort of like that, but doesn't really know me that well, but knows to a point where I've spoken. And I spoke. But when I said alright in the charity shop where she was, she didn't say nothing when she was carrying a box. Just as I was moving to Yeovil, where I am now, I decided to leave a note in there to say, do you fancy going for a coffee or a drink? And fancy, since we've been speaking on the beach, because obviously it's difficult to find anyone, just in general letter. I've mentioned what the letter is to actual other people. Some agree with it, some have a disagreement with it. Some says no problem with that, saying that's just an ordinary letter, and if the person is single, it's not a problem. Some say yes, and some say no. Anyway, I left that note. I can't remember exactly what it said now, but it's basically similar to that. Are you single? It wasn't pushy. It was just a gentle note, basically. She phoned me up because I left my number on there. She started a full-blown row down the phone and said, you wouldn't want to start with because you were my fucking enemies. You wouldn't fucking start because they would fucking take you out and they would fucking knock you fucking flying, and you don't know how much I got behind me and how many people could take your life. And she was absolutely fucking going down. He said, never ever leave any notes asking anything about me or anything like this, because I'll have you fucking arrested. I'll have you fucking going down and saying you're fucking sicko, you're fucking sad. She was absolutely giving it some, saying all this and all that. So, obviously, with that shouting down the phone, I wasn't happy about it, and but I had to accept and agree with what she said to avoid future arguments. So I said, no, I won't come into the shop again. I won't ever pass her, ever. Because you don't want, I've got all my Blake friends, you won't know what they do to you, they'll fucking kill you and all the rest of it. Just a month later is where I had this phone call from this person pretending to be a single lady who claimed to be Scott. Now this could be either 2 or 3 people. It could be connected to Sally Ann Adicott. It could be connected to Gemma. Or it could be connected to connections of the Dando family, Kimberly Hobbs Cox, or even Amanda Millis. But I'm not sure which one it is. Whoever it was, basically met up, wanted to meet in Highbridge, and told me clearly that he wanted to smash my brains out onto the railway track. So then I thought, well, and he said, and basically when he met up in Bridgewater, he said, I'm here to take you out, I'm here to smash you in, put you in a hospital bed, you're a fucking sicko, you're a fucking rapist, and started all that. And I started to phone 999. It could also be that Jeanette prostitute as well, by the way, which was someone that looked similar to what Lisa looked like when she was her age, but she did actually seem like she might be a little bit more negative than Lisa, but she was a lot younger, and she wasn't really that sexual, pretending to be a single woman and a prostitute at the same time. She did about 6 moves on me, that's about it, just to film it, and robbed me of just under 800 quid. So I had to report it, did it on action fraud, because I was not very happy about it. She did actually look older than what she told me. She said she was about 18. If I to look at, I'd say she's around about 22. She definitely looks like she's married or possibly got kids. She's definitely not that pretty, not one of the pretty ones. Very similar looking to Lisa Pike, but without that fatness. Of how she looked back at that time. So, whoever it was, I'm not exactly sure, but it's not safe to make any contact with Amanda Millis. She's probably got her surname changed by now. Kimberly Hobbs, which is now Kimberly Cox. I don't think it'd be Sadie Dando. I don't think. It could be, but I don't think it is. A Gemma Ferguson, Sally Ann Adicott, or it could be that, oh, what's the other name I said? I think I've covered them all, not sure. Jeanette prostitute, Michael Jackson prostitute. So it could be any of those people. Anyway, I'm going to go on to the subject of Sally Ann Adicott. Sally is a girl that has a brother called Jamie, and their mother is Jane Mansfield and had their name changed because she got married to a person with the surname Adicott, I believe. They knew the Dando family going back to the 1990s. Sally would have only been a sort of young child at the time, so only about 4 or 5, and I would have been a child, but at the end stages of a child in my youth age area, in that time period. When we come to Bridgewater Railway Station, there was a member that died and left all the money to one of the relatives, where David Mansfield's mother, I think it is, and just over the other side you had a little track, well, not a track as such, but a row of houses, and you had Tim Mansfield, which is the father of Sally Ann Mansfield and Jamie Mansfield at that time. Not much was mentioned. Tim obviously came into Robert Dando's house to report something illegal going on. I won't go into a situation of that, but not my business. And obviously Jane Mansfield lived up Road Lane. I can't remember what it is, but it's a corner house. So you go around, take that first turning on the, or second turning or whatever on the left. You go around the corner, and her house is in the left-hand corner. So you go into the house. On the right, you've got the living room. Then you've got I can't remember what was there, whether it's a toilet or another room. And then you've got the kitchen. Then you've got an outside, which is a very small outside, which is only about 6 foot big. The garden part on the side, where the back door is. Then you go upstairs, and obviously you've got the. If I remember, I don't know the house that well because it's only been there about once or twice, and that's back in the 90s. You have the toilet upstairs, then you have one bedroom, and then I believe you have the other bedroom. And then the stairs are sort of on the left-hand side of the door as you go in. Anyway, I was going to speak to this Sally back in the day of 2012. She just doesn't remember me. People were saying I'm chasing her and all the rest of it, so I decided to knock it on the head and not cause trouble. But even so, I was using the bus service on a regular basis, so I would see her on the bus. But so I couldn't really avoid that situation when I was using public transport back at that time. Now, there's a possibility where I was sort of messaged on Facebook or other places, many different people over the time, that it could be a compilation of problems that has landed this sort of problem as a possibility to the story that I've just mentioned now. Right, moving from where I was, which is Burnham-on-Sea, to Yeovil, apparently the social worker and the police mentioned that it's for safety reasons as well that they had to move me, and they did agree at the end of the time that I was living in Burnham that I am being mistaken as Sven. They did actually agree. Even the doctor, Dr. Mortimer, agreed. He said obviously other things that he doesn't agree with. He says you still have to look at the things like, what you're diagnosed with, like the autism or whatever, that some of these threats might not be real or whatever. But he says that I have surprised them with some of the content that has occurred between the police and the social worker. And even the social worker and my doctor were hoping that when I moved to Yeovil that my life would actually improve and that I'd get a partner and a girlfriend for the first time in my life. Unfortunately, that never turned true. In fact, my life's just got worse. And also, 2022 is the worstest direct threat year in my whole life. Also, 2022 is where people photograph me in a mass. Up to over 50 people a day photographing me, mistaking me as Liam and Sven. And since 2023, which is this year, the last 4 months in particular, my real name's occurring in threats. Like, so they're saying that my name is Justin, which it is, but they're using stuff that's more connected to Sven in the threats, like stuff claiming that I play a guitar or I chase kids or I rape women and beat women or whatever. So they're doing all that, but using my name rather than Sven's name for the crimes that he's possibly committed. And also, one of the neighbours is not very happy with me either. So it's not a very happy environment there, and it's not going to get any better. So that's the full story of that. Going back to a few things that I've mentioned in the video, I just want to mention that some of these people that I've asked if they're single, you know, or tried to make friendship, not actually ask if they're single as such, because that's not the right way to do it. It's too late for most of these, because these people, I'll give you the names of the people it's too late for because they've gone into negative attraction or have that unhygienic sort of dirty appearance. But usually they have like a dry stone face firstly before it goes into negative appearance. But some don't, some pass that stage and they've just gone into like negative attraction. Up until last year or the year before, Stephanie Hill, unfortunately she's now gone into negative attraction, and it's too late if the possibility was there. I mean, it's not one of the preference of choices, but in a time where you've been violated and had nothing at all, if the option was there, it's still too late. Amanda Millis, it would be too late for her. Although she's still in her 20s, high 20s, she has actually gone into negative attraction. She's one of those that looks very ugly at a young age. So it's too late for that woman. Kimberly Hobbs, or what's known as Kimberly Cox, but obviously she's never really been a looker, to be honest, so it doesn't surprise me that she's gone into negative attraction. So she looks similar to Lisa Pike, how she would have looked. Thinner, but same appearance as Lisa Pike, how she would have looked on that photo that I had when she was roughly somewhere between 28 and 32, 33. I don't think it's as high as 33, because I think it's somewhere between 28, somewhere, I don't know. But 33 is the actual maximum it would be. Right, the other picture, the other person it's too late for would be Gemma Ferguson. She's only just started going into negative attraction. She's 31. I noticed this when I saw her, when all the trouble kicked off when I was camping in the September period of this year, when I had an appointment to go to, and over 1,000 people were mistaking me as Sven, or well, it's well over 1,000. I don't know, it could be as high as 1,500. It's not counted, but there was definitely many threats. I mean, there was 50 plus threats mistaking me as Sven, and people photographing me. In 20 minutes I was in Asda looking around before I went to the appointment of when I was camping. So yeah, not good. And that's just in a supermarket. So basically that leaves you with I'm not sure. I guess at the top of my head I can't think of anyone at the moment who I haven't mentioned. I mean, all these people are in relationships anyway, so I wouldn't be able to go with these people anyway. But I'm just saying they've gone into negative attraction, a lot of them. So that's all I can say on that. Actually, to be fair, apart from Sadie, who's actually a family or relative on my mum's side of the family, basically every one of those people that I've mentioned are out of my life, or they don't want me, or they've fallen out, or something like that. So they're not applicable. But there's one thing I was going to mention, which regards Jungle Massive. When I went to Torquay for a couple of days on Jane's holiday, because I was invited, because I was only a child at that time, we were talking about jungle music or whatever, but that holiday's where I got the Trans-Europe Express, the Textures tape, which is a green tape, fluorescent, and a red tape, by the way, which is moody, trancey music with one jungle track on the end of the green tape, which is DJ Crystallize, the one of the remixes. But going back, I can't remember if it's before that or after that. I think it's before that. She decided to get me a present for birthday, and I ordered Jungle Massive from W.H. Smith's. And because that side of the, well, they're not family as such, but they're well-known, good friends to the Dando family. They don't even like that side of the family either now, so they're completely, they're out of it. They're no good. But she did actually buy me a Jungle Massive CD when I was a kid, and it's caused me to hate that CD, because obviously when they sort of, all the problems that occur in the, but recently I've had to come to terms that there are certain tracks that are on the best of Jungle Massive, which I also had. So I thought, if I can be singled out in that sort of way, where it goes against me, I thought, I like Undercover Agent Rougher Part 3 on Splash Recordings. And I thought, that's on there. And that's one of my best tracks. And I thought, we're just going to have to bypass all the others and accept that one track, and just accept that that one track and the Rude Project Thunder is on music I've had in the past. I had Thunder on Dance Trance Kenny Ken, Mission Control, and Undercover Agent I had on the Best of Jungle Massive, which I bought on later on when I was on holiday in Scotland. Not Scotland, I can't remember where it might have been, I can't remember, it's somewhere. It was with Mum, and this back in 1997 area. 1997 area. So you had like activities, a bar, and I don't know, different things. So I had my Walkman and I went in the canoe, and I knew Justine Hayes and Craig Hayes, who were also at that were there at the same time. Well, I knew them from Elmwood School, and I get on alright with them. In fact, I like Justine's laugh actually. She was picked on because she wasn't very pretty at Elmwood School, but obviously, you know, I treat people with respect regardless how they look. I might not fancy them or whatever, but I do have respect for people that don't look that great. Though there are people that I do tend to stay out the way of, but mostly these are not people I've known. These are sort of people on the street, like people that act like toffs or act unhygienic in a dirty way, or cough or sneeze in your face or do that sort of thing. When it comes to that sort of person, yes, I do tend to keep my distance, because I'm not over happy about it. But anyway, when I got the Best of Jungle Massive while in the shopping mall or shopping centre, where it was, can't remember now, that's where I got the Best of Jungle Massive. And because Rougher Part 3 was on there, I look at it in the term of it comes from there and not from Jane, even though it's a reissue. So I got that track from a cheap copy of Jungle Massive that I bought, which is obviously a CD scratch and all the rest of it, but I only wanted to save the track, so I managed to get it off eBay recently. So that's the end of that. I think the one track that reminds me of Jane Mansfield in particular is Smokey Joe's and City Rank's Shining record, which is a track produced by Joe Brody. And that Jungle Massive CD is not the one you're going to think it is, which is the green one. It's the HF CD 42 release on Labello Blanco or Warner Chappell Music CD, I can't remember. It's definitely Warner Chappell Music, whatever it is. So yeah, that one, the one that was released in 1994. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Chokes pipe, catalyst converter at the hot point that I mentioned. Right, there is something I was going to mention when it comes to the jungle tracks and all the rest of it. Come 2019 area, I noticed a lot of jungle tracks started to go against me, including on the series of the last CD I done, which is a mixture of would be the equivalent to two 4.7 DVD discs for WAV music jungle tracks. Where obviously these tracks have gone against me over time. Just as I noticed that it's starting to happen in a massive way, or a big scale, I got hold of it's the beginning of the dark ambient stuff I was getting into, which began in November 2019 when I was staying at my dad's. And that's seen me through right to now. And a lot of the stuff that I play is actually from the Cryo Chamber Records dark ambient series from in America, which is Proto U, Atrium Carceri or Carceri, or whatever, Metatron Mega, Mount Shrine, Proto U and Hilliard. I can't remember what ones I said. You know, just a mixture of Agasona. So yeah, I've been getting into all that, which I am starting to prefer a lot of that than some of my oldest jungle tracks. So maybe the time of listening to all that old just called jungle tracks going against me maybe has been replaced with some of the dark ambient tracks, which I got into it basically in the time period of just before I started going camping, and I played them on my MP3 player camping. So there's sort of memorable tracks to that as well. My MP3 player's fucked up just so that they can time a loud bike to my penis going up. Well, if I got to fucking say, my willy goes up, 8 times loud bike, revs, sick cunt breaking in, as the headphone jack plays up, and I have to take my headphones off, the MP3 player off, and then a crow animal says molested F sound, and a ha ha. So, God obviously wants to get his fucking say without me fucking listening to music. I can't listen to music, so whatever's being said. I have this problem at home as well. The jack's gone on the laptop as well. So any music or anything, God wants me to listen to the fucking voice sounds, about bikes to erections and everything else. The bastard's just crashed, the bastard's coarse, the bastard's fucking screwed up, the bastard's evil. There's nothing you can do about it. The cunt wants me fucking destroyed sexually. There seriously is no music. The other MP3 player's fucking gone. The jack's gone in that one as well. Anyway, a crow saying, shag bab, you go in hell. Nothing I can do about it. God, I'm going to have to just listen to the frets. Problems. I'm going to have to look for a £50 MP3 player, which is £10 more than new price, but you can't buy it. And just for the headphone jack, just for that problem. And for the laptop, I'm going to have to buy another laptop if I want to listen to music on there. I mean, you can get it to some extent better than what you can here, but the bastard's cursed me. The bastard doesn't want me to listen. You know, I can't listen to music. God wants me to listen to people fucking starting on me. Well, I'll make it fucking clear, because I'll fucking start on his son, I'll rip his fucking son to fucking pieces and knife him to the fucking floor. Impale him with a fucking stake, cold fucker. I'm walking back. I've just done documentaries, but I'm including this life problem all in one because it's just too awkward to separate it anymore. Where there's been about 200 black and blue sick white cars and grey white, whatever. I think there's been a couple of knife shaped as well. I can't remember. I've been trying to do things, sorting MP3 headphones out. God doesn't want me to listen to that. And all the crows saying that you're a child molester and everything's made up, and just fucking giving it some like that. Whatever that creature is that made that sound is what was making the voice sounds. Right, there's been about 50 cars psycho fucking crazy because the government is setting up all this action. Every fucking car in this corner. Now they forced me to cross over 3 times, the government, where they're fucking doing all this action. They're just fucking belting it. Every fucking side. Right, the twisted cunt's just fucking done this. The government's trying to hit me off. They do it every fucking time on this fucking area. Yeah, there's a catalyst, guys. Catalyst. You fucking twisted fucking sexual slaughter cunt. Shot dead, said. Car 1 light out, choked by catalyst. Where the government are building up the time to get busy traffic, manslaughter t-shirt, 12 lots of cars to collide, I think I mentioned that, choked by catalytic converter, 1 car, 1 light out, HIV, just HIV needle. Right, if I can get a fucking say, 3 cars with 1 light out, set up to say that you've been with Stephanie when I haven't. Choked by catalyst, can't cross the fucking road, and